THC, let's talk about it. I think in politics, especially in Texas, that the thing I try to advise people to do is stop trying to convince somebody you're right and try to explain to them why you support what you do or the policy you want. There is a difference. So here's the nuance. I would like to see cannabis access legalized in Texas. I think it's a tool, though, to generate revenue and harass communities for using a plant. And it makes more sense to regulate it and therefore have some safety controls on it. That doesn't mean it's going to make it perfectly safe. We've seen with alcohol, that's not the case. However, it does mean that you put some controls on it and you also educate the public through those controls of understanding kind of safe limits and who should and should not be using this product. That's kind of what happened with alcohol. Does that mean underage drinking never happens? Hell no, it definitely happens. But does it mean that we're more aware and our parents might be more open to talking about it because it is something that the state is talking about? Yes. Yes, it does. That same thing is going to be true with cannabis. Let me reframe some things and explain with the reframing how I would explain it if I were a candidate, per se. I am not. But advising one, here's how I would talk about it. We have a compassionate use program. 45% of the people that are currently in it, of the 116,000 estimated participants, only 45% actually fill their prescription. That to me signals that it's likely maybe an onerous process. Okay, so that's not freedom-loving Texan style, is it? No. We had the hemp ban discussion back in June at the end of the original legislative session, the 89th legislative session. And Dan Patrick pushed through his THC ban despite lots of public testimony saying, hey, this is ridiculous. So the public did speak out and say, this is not what we want. They ignored it, passed it. Then Abbott said, no, I'm going to veto that. That's too extreme. There's already lawsuits in other states that have valid constitutional concerns for in court that's getting thrown out. So we just don't need to do this. Okay. So he does that in June, releases an official statement in June as governor that, Texas, he heard both sides. They both raised valid concerns. So Texas needs strong hemp regulation, which, hey, glad to see a governor finally on board with, being understanding that regulations can be good, not just weaponized against women trying to get health care, reproductive health care. So I digress. Regulations, glad you're on board, Greg. Now fast forward to yesterday. Yesterday, we had political theater from the Texas Senate, and we had SB 3 2.0, which is now called SB 5. It's a ban. Greg Abbott came out on the same day in different news outlets, basically saying, yeah, I support a ban. Okay. Why the sudden flip, Greg? Why? Well, here's the thing about the compassionate use program I looked up. In order to access it, it seems like you have to pay a fee just to be in the program. You have to pay also and find one of those approved doctors from them that will prescribe cannabis, can prescribe cannabis. So you have to go through them and you have to pay that doctor a fee. And then there's like a yearly fee to be in the program. So there's a lot of upfront fees for the consumer. There's not a lot of people that fill the prescriptions because I don't know. If you're a compassionate use program user in Texas, please reach out. I would love to hear from you. Do you have to go through another fee process in order to change your prescription? Say if you want to try a different form of THC, that's my curiosity. So there are real concerns with the medical use program because it's limited access and difficulty. Yes, they've expanded some things, but they themselves called that expansion useless in light of current accidental legalization that they created. Remember, they created. So that's how I would talk about it. Make those points, right? because I'm not having to point out anything crazy. I'm just stating reality. Republicans have been in control of our state for 30 fucking years. They are the ones who accidentally legalized it and now want to roll all that shit back. They are the ones who want to pass this ban, which also has really big fees for those who want to try to be in the compassionate, to be a medical provider for this, of hemp. So all of that, understanding that's the background, here's why I support legalization. They're trying to use bullshit and they're trying to use racism. And that for me tells me they want to keep using this as a tool to harass communities. And I'm not okay with that. So it's also a civil rights issue for me. Because they're saying marijuana versus hemp. Marijuana versus hemp. They're all cannabis sativa. They are all the hemp plant. It's how the government chooses to classify it, and at the state level, how they're trying to play some trickery with how they're going to test it or not test it. That's what started this whole faux legalization practice here in Texas. So they're the ones that have created this storm of confusion, which creates a perfect place to keep making arrests, keep bringing in revenue, instead of trying to attack more serious issues. And that's not okay, especially when we're trying to say we're a pro-life state. So yeah, that's how I talk about it.